On the way home from work that day, I was still debating whether I should buy flowers for my wife. Work had been hectic lately, and I hadn't spent much time with her. I could just feel that something was off. That thought turned into a bitter joke the moment I pushed open the front door. The living room was unnervingly quiet, with only the faint sound of voices coming from the master bedroom. I tiptoed over. The door was ajar, and in the instant I peeked through the crack, my world came crashing down. My wife, Chloe, was curled up in the arms of another man. The man was wearing a metallic boar mask that covered his entire face, revealing only his chin. He had his arm wrapped intimately around Chloe's waist. I heard him say, clear as day, "A loser like your husband doesn't deserve a woman like you." Chloe let out a soft laugh and said in a coy, playful tone, "Don't be so mean to him." Even though she was technically defending me, the flippant way she said it felt like a knife twisting in my gut. My hands balled into fists, my nails digging so deep into my palms that it hurt. But that pain was nothing compared to the gut-wrenching agony in my chest. 5 years of marriage had become a grotesque farce in a single moment. Fighting every impulse, I quietly backed away, left the house, and shut the door behind me. Sitting on a bench down the street, I started replaying the last 6 months, all the strange little things adding up. Chloe was always working late, always had networking events on the weekends. Whenever I asked where she was going, she was always vague. We'd become less and less intimate. She was always too tired or not feeling well. Her phone, which had never been locked, was now protected by a password. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. I couldn't let this go. I had to find out who this boar mask guy was, and just how long Chloe had been betraying me. The next morning, I went to work and acted like nothing had happened. On the way, I called my boss and took a week of personal leave, telling him there was a family emergency. The emergency was that I needed to investigate my own life. My first stop was the bank, where I had them print out the last 6 months of statements for our joint account. As I scanned the transaction logs, my heart sank deeper with every line. There were huge transfers going out almost every month, sometimes tens of thousands, other times over $100,000. In just 6 months, nearly $150,000 was gone. That was our life savings, money we'd been putting away for a down payment on a bigger house. Now, it seemed, it had all gone into the pocket of the man in the boar mask. Back home, I got to work installing hidden cameras in the living room and the foyer, both linked to my phone for a live feed. I also placed a GPS tracker in Chloe's car, so I could follow her every move. When Chloe got home that evening, I pretended I didn't know a thing and asked her how her day was. She gave me a few perfunctory answers before disappearing into the study to catch up on work emails. I noticed she was carrying a new purse, a Chanel. It had to be worth at least $4,000, way more than she could afford on her salary. While she was in the shower, I checked her phone. Most of the suspicious texts were gone, but her call log showed frequent contact with an unknown number. I wrote it down, another piece of the puzzle to investigate. By tracking her car's GPS, I discovered that Chloe was a frequent visitor to a high-end establishment called the Onyx Club. It was located in the city's most affluent business district, its exterior understated and luxurious, with tight security at the entrance. I slipped one of the valets $500 for information. He told me it was a lifestyle club, a private place where wealthy businessmen and celebrities would meet their mistresses. The man in the boar mask was apparently a big name there. His alias was the Hunter, and he was known for bringing a different woman in every time. Hearing that, a sharp pain shot through my stomach. So Chloe was just another one of his conquests. She had thrown away our marriage for someone like that. I hired a private investigator and tasked him with finding out the Hunter's real identity. A week later, the PI came back with news that sent a chill down my spine. The man's name was Marcus Thorne. He was a former corporate executive with a serious criminal record, suspected in multiple homicides. A few Google searches brought up news articles about the cases. Marcus's M.O. was to seduce wealthy married women, drain their finances, and then kill them. His methods were always clean. He never left a shred of direct evidence. The women would be reported missing and were never seen again. What terrified me even more was what I found next. Tucked away in a hidden compartment in our master bedroom closet was a USB drive. On it were chat logs between Chloe and Marcus. They were plotting to kill me. Chloe had already taken out a massive life insurance policy on me. The plan was to stage a car accident while I was on a business trip next month. Staring at the horrifying evidence, I didn't sleep a wink that night. Sweet memories of our life together flashed through my mind, each one now feeling bitter and mocking. Chloe, the woman I'd loved so deeply, hadn't just cheated on me. She wanted me dead. I decided right then that I would get my revenge. I would make them pay, but I wouldn't be reckless. I was going to plan this perfectly. I was going to burn their lives to the ground and make them regret ever being born. The next day, I began my preparations. First, I reached out to a few old friends, one a detective with the Chicago PD, another an assistant DA. I didn't give them specifics, but they promised to help if I needed it. I also uncovered a crucial piece of information. The father of one of Marcus's earlier victims was still searching for him, desperate for justice. I managed to get in touch with the old man. When he heard what I knew about Marcus, a terrifying, vengeful fire lit up in his eyes. "You just tell me when and where," the man said, his voice raspy and resolute. "I will make him pay for what he did." I started meticulously logging Chloe and Marcus's schedule. Every Wednesday and Friday, like clockwork, Chloe would go to the Onyx Club. They always used Suite 3 on the second floor, staying for 2 to 3 hours. To make sure my plan was foolproof, I paid a visit to Chloe's parents. They adored their daughter and had no idea about the life she was leading. I told them I wanted to throw Chloe a surprise party and invited them to a family get-together the following Friday. "We've all been so busy lately, we haven't had a chance to get together," I said with a smile. "Let's get the whole family there, all the aunts and uncles. It'll be great." My in-laws loved the idea and promised to help call the relatives. Looking at their kind, smiling faces, I felt a pang of guilt. They had no idea their daughter had become a monster. On the way home, my PI called. He discovered that Marcus was already lining up a new target and was planning to dump Chloe this week. In his grand scheme, she was just another pawn to be sacrificed. "You'd better move fast," the PI warned. "This Marcus guy is a real piece of work. If he gets a whiff that something's wrong, he'll strike first." I cut him off. "Don't worry," I said. "This Friday it all ends." On Wednesday night, Chloe said she had to work late again. I knew she was going to see Marcus, so I slipped a small listening device into her purse. Sure enough, at the club, they talked about their plan to get rid of me. "The accident is all set up." Marcus's voice crackled through my earpiece. "Next week, when he's on that trip, it'll be clean, untraceable." Chloe's voice trembled slightly. "Are you sure nothing will go wrong?" "Relax. The guy I hired is a pro. Once we get that insurance payout, we'll be on a beach somewhere, living the good life." "But my parents." "Sweetheart," Marcus's voice was pure poison. "Once we're living abroad, you can fly back to see them whenever you want. Besides, if they knew the truth, do you really think they'd still call you their daughter?" Hearing that, I let out a cold, bitter laugh. "You have no idea. You won't have to wait until next week. Your judgment day is in 48 hours. Thursday morning, I went to my office and officially requested a long-term leave of absence for an overseas project. My colleagues didn't bat an eye. I was a workaholic, so a long break like this seemed overdue. When I got home, Chloe was packing a suitcase. She told me she had to go on a last-minute business trip for a few days. I feigned concern. "How long will you be gone? Need me to drive you to the airport?" She waved her hands frantically. No, the company's sending a car." I just nodded, a cold smirk playing on my lips. She wasn't going on a business trip. She was heading to a resort in Lake Geneva with Marcus for a romantic getaway. I already knew every detail of her itinerary. After she left, I immediately called my father-in-law. "The party tomorrow is still on. I've booked a great place. And hey, make sure you invite lots of family. The more, the merrier." My mother-in-law got on the line, excited. "Of course, your aunts and uncles are coming, and your cousins too. Chloe's been working so hard. It'll be great for us all to get together." I swallowed the lump in my throat and kept my voice steady. "Yeah, it's really important that we all get together this time." After hanging up, I made another call to the father of Marcus's victim. I confirmed that they would be at the designated location at the right time. "Don't you worry," the old man's raspy voice promised. "This time, he will pay in blood." That afternoon, I was picking up some supplies at a grocery store when I ran into Marcus in the parking lot. He wasn't wearing his signature boar mask, but I recognized him instantly. Tall, with a strong, angular jawline and a mocking glint in his eyes. This was the man who had stolen my wife and was planning to end my life. He clearly recognized me, too, and had the audacity to walk right up to me. "You must be Chloe's husband," he said with a smug grin. "I've heard so much about you." I forced down the rage boiling inside me and played dumb. "I'm sorry, have we met?" "Oh, I'm a business associate of Chloe's. We see each other at the office all the time." He lied smoothly, his smile dripping with contempt. "Chloe talks about you a lot. Says you're a real stand-up, family man." The sarcasm was so thick I could taste it. I wanted to strangle him right there. But now wasn't the time. Tomorrow was for settling scores. "Is that so? Well, it's nice to meet you," I said, forcing a polite smile. "We should all get dinner sometime." "Absolutely," he said, his eyes glinting. "I'm sure we'll have the chance very soon." As I watched him walk away, my fists clenched. "Just wait, you arrogant bastard. You're about to pay for that pride." Back home that night, I went over all the evidence one last time. The security footage, the call logs, the bank statements, the chat logs from the USB drive. It was all there. An ironclad case that would leave them with no defense. I'd hired a freelance video editor to compile everything into a single, damning presentation. When I played it tomorrow, everyone would see them for who they truly were. Next, I confirmed the location. The GPS tracker showed Chloe and Marcus were at Villa 3 of the Lakeside Resort. I had already called in a favor with the resort manager to ensure I'd have access. Finally, the personnel. Marcus's enemies would enter through a side service gate and make their appearance at the critical moment. They were coming prepared, and they would make Marcus bleed. My in-laws and the rest of the family would come through the front, where they would get a front row seat to see just how their perfect daughter had betrayed them all. I glanced at the clock. It was already late. By this time tomorrow, it would all be over. I suddenly remembered my wedding day 5 years ago. Chloe, in her white dress, looked so pure, so beautiful. Who could have known it would all end like this? At 3 in the morning, I was lying in bed, wide awake. A light rain began to fall outside, as if the heavens themselves were weeping for what was about to happen. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Chloe. "Hey, so sorry my trip got rescheduled. I probably won't make it to the family thing tomorrow." I typed back, "No problem. Work comes first." A long pause followed. Then, she replied, "You're a good husband." Reading those words, I felt an unexpected urge to cry. What if, and it was a huge what if, this was all just some horrible misunderstanding? I immediately crushed the thought. The evidence was irrefutable. I couldn't afford to deceive myself. Just before dawn, I got one last report from my PI. He'd confirmed that Marcus had already purchased property overseas and was planning to flee the country in a few days with his new woman and all the stolen money. And Chloe. To Marcus, she was just a toy he was about to throw away. Having second thoughts, the PI asked over the phone. "No," I said, my voice ice cold. "I was just thinking that letting them die quickly would be getting off too easy." At 9 in the morning, I arrived at the resort. On the security monitor in the lobby, I saw that Chloe and Marcus were already in Villa 3. They were laughing together, completely oblivious to the storm that was about to break over their heads. I called my father-in-law. "Hey, I booked a big suite for us at the resort. Let's all meet here first, and I'll come get you in a bit." Next, I called Marcus's Avenger. "Are you and your men ready?" "Don't worry," the old man said. "I brought 20 guys. He's going to pay for what he did." At 10 o'clock sharp, I saw my in-laws arrive with the rest of the family. Cousins, aunts, uncles, about 20 people in total, all of them smiling, expecting a happy family reunion. I led them toward Villa 3. "Everyone, follow me. I have a big surprise for Chloe." As we approached the villa's door, I could hear their laughter spilling out from inside. The sound was grating, a symphony of my betrayal. My wife and her lover sharing a joke. "Ready?" I asked, turning to look at the crowd of expectant faces. My father-in-law looked confused. "Ethan, what is this all about?" I took a deep breath. "You're about to find out." With that, I pulled out the spare key I'd had made and opened the door. The moment the door swung open, the scene inside froze everyone in their tracks. Chloe and Marcus were wrapped in an embrace. Marcus was still wearing that iconic boar mask. They were so shocked by the sudden intrusion of 20 people that they didn't even think to pull apart. "Chloe," her mother shrieked. What are you doing?" Chloe snapped back to reality, frantically pushing Marcus away. "Mom, what are you all doing here?" Her father's face was a mask of thunderous rage. You said you were on a business trip. You were here, cheating on your husband. Marcus tried to make a run for it, but the doorway was blocked by a wall of stunned relatives. He turned to flee out the back, only to find another group of men closing in, blocking that exit. Nobody move, I shouted. I want everyone to see exactly who you two are. I turned on the portable projector I'd brought and aimed it at the villa's large, white wall. The video began to play, the hidden camera footage of their intimate moments, the bank statements showing the massive withdrawals, and finally, the audio recording of them plotting my murder. Chloe's mother collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Her father, shaking with fury, stormed forward and slapped Chloe hard across the face. You animal! How could I have raised such a monster? Just then, the second group of men, armed with pipes and bats, burst into the room. The old man was at the front, his fingers shaking as he pointed at Marcus. That's the bastard who killed my daughter, he roared. This time, real fear flashed in Marcus's eyes. He tried to scramble away, but it was too late. The old man's crew swarmed him, steel pipes falling on him like rain. A life for a life, the old man screamed, lunging forward with a knife and plunging it deep into Marcus's chest. Blood sprayed across the expensive rug. Marcus collapsed, his body twitching. In his last moments, he tore off the boar mask and stared at me with pure, unadulterated hatred. I walked over to him, stood over his dying body, and spat directly in his face. Go to hell, you son of a bitch. The wail of police sirens cut through the resort's peaceful morning. I stood in the middle of the blood-soaked room, looking down at Marcus's body, and felt a strange sense of calm. His boar mask lay beside him, spattered with blood, its metallic surface reflecting the chaotic lights. Chloe was slumped in a corner, trembling violently. A dark bruise was already forming on her left cheek from her father's slap. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. Her makeup was smeared, and she looked nothing like the polished, professional woman she usually was. The police quickly secured the scene. The old man and his crew were taken into custody, but as he was being led away, he looked at me and said, "Thank you. You let me get justice for my daughter." I nodded. "Take care of yourself." My in-laws were also taken to the station to give their statements. As they left, Chloe's mother was crying so hard, she almost fainted. Her father looked at Chloe with utter disgust. "From this day on, you are no longer our daughter. You've brought nothing but shame to this family." Looking at the wreckage of it all, I couldn't help but feel the bitter irony. At our wedding, they couldn't have been more proud of their daughter. Now, they were disowning her. In an interrogation room at the police station, I calmly recounted the entire story. From discovering the affair to investigating the truth, and finally, to the confrontation today. "Did you plan for all of this to happen?" the detective asked. I shook my head. I just wanted to expose the truth. Marcus's death was his own karma catching up to him. And it was true. I never expected it to go this far. I only wanted to reveal their affair, to make everyone see them for what they were. Marcus was killed by his own enemies. That had nothing to do with me. Your wife confessed, the detective told me. She admitted she and Marcus were plotting to kill you. She's facing attempted murder charges. She's going to prison for a long time. I let out a cold laugh. She deserves it. A month later, I visited Chloe at the county jail. She had lost a lot of weight. Her face was pale, and her hair had lost its shine. The moment she saw me, she rushed to the reinforced glass. "Ethan, please, you have to forgive me." I just stared at her. "Don't you think it's a little late for that?" "I know I was wrong," she cried, her hands pressed against the glass. "It was Marcus. He manipulated me. He said once we got your insurance money, he'd take me away from everything. I was a fool." "Enough." I cut her off. "You really think I believe that? Were the bank transfers fake? Were the pictures of you two together fake? Was the recording of you planning to kill me fake?" She broke down, sobbing. "I really know I was wrong now. Please, just give me one more chance. I don't want anything, just your forgiveness." I slid a folder through the slot. "Sign it." It was the divorce agreement. Chloe stared at the papers, her body going rigid. "No, you can't. Do you have a choice?" I said coldly. "You can either sign this now, and we go our separate ways, or I can forward the evidence of you plotting to kill your husband to your parents. Make them hate you even more than they already do." Her hand trembled as tears streamed down her face. "Please, just give me a chance." "A chance." I laughed, the sound devoid of any humor. "You used up all your chances the day you decided to betray me. Sign the papers, Chloe. It's the only way out you have left." Finally, she signed the divorce agreement. It stipulated that she would walk away with nothing. All marital assets would be transferred to my name. As I turned and walked out of the visitation area, I could hear Chloe's muffled, desperate screams behind me. "Don't go. Please, don't leave me." I didn't look back. 5 years of love and marriage ended the moment she chose to betray me. 3 days later, I got a call from the jail. Chloe had killed herself in her cell. She had repeatedly slammed her head against the concrete wall until she was dead. I hung up the phone, walked over to the window, and lit a cigarette. The city lights spread out before me, a brilliant, sprawling tapestry. It was the same city, but my life was now completely different. My former in-laws came to see me one last time. They were taking Chloe's ashes back to their hometown. Before they left, Chloe's mother took my hand. "Ethan, we're so sorry," she said. "We failed as parents." "It wasn't your fault," I told them. After they were gone, I started cleaning out the house. All of Chloe's clothes, her jewelry, her makeup, and every picture we had ever taken together. I packed it all up and threw it away. There could be no trace of her left in this home. 6 months later, I quit my old job and started my own investment firm. Without Chloe's reckless spending, my savings grew quickly. My business was thriving, expanding faster than I had ever imagined. People tried to set me up on dates, but I always declined. It wasn't because I was still hung up on Chloe. It was because I knew I needed time. That whole ordeal taught me that you can't force love, and you can't ever give someone your blind trust. Today, I drove past that resort again. It's been renovated, and there's no sign that anything violent ever happened at Villa 3. But every now and then, when I see an image of a boar, a flicker of something still stirs inside me. It doesn't matter anymore, though. I've buried that part of my past deep in my memory. All I want now is to live in the present and look forward to the future.